What's up, everybody? Back here again. Got week 2 coming up. Week 1, had some tears and some interesting thoughts. Finally got my voice back. Otherwise, I would have my video out sooner. I was up in Lane Stadium watching the Hokies play Ohio State, and it was bad. We lost bad. Looked good first half. Virginia Tech looked like they might be a team that could possibly win the ACC this year. We had a couple lucky breaks on a muffed punt and an interception, and offense was playing well. Third quarter, when Michael Brewer went down, team folded. It looked bad. Brandon Motley was thrown to the Wolves. There's a game that you do not want to be thrown to, and that's going to be playing the defending national champions as a young man. So, but Ohio State also showed that they're the best team in college football, hands down. I mean, Virginia Tech might not have been ranked. Their defense is pretty good, probably top 5 in the country, and they have so many weapons, it's ridiculous. And you talk about Ezekiel Elliott and Jones, and now you have Braxton Miller, who was playing quarterback, who's now playing receiver, who looks like he's been doing it his whole life, and he's you got to talk about, he's arguably probably one of the best receivers in college football right now. So, that's where that was. Not going to harp much on it because it hurts to talk about. It was tough. However, as old as I am, I have seen a lot of games in Lane Stadium. I have never seen Blacksburg, Virginia that loud to the point where you couldn't even hear Sandman when they were coming out. So, lots of props to the Hokie Nation out there. We did our job as far as the crowd goes. Team played their best. Ohio State was just too much for them. So, I still think Ohio State's probably the best team in the country right now. But we'll talk about that later. Stanford losing. Did not see that coming. I picked Stanford to win the Pac-12, and well, they got some work to do. We're just going to leave that there. Jim Harbaugh in Michigan opened up against Utah last week, and he didn't get the job done. I'm not going to go so far as to say it was his fault. Quarterback threw 3 picks, ugly picks, and you can't win a ball game when the opposing team is capitalizing off turnovers. So we got to minimize that. Michigan's a school that demands to win, and if they get rid of him, then they're retarded. But you got to. It's going to take time for Harbaugh to build his team out there in Michigan, and he will get it done because he's a hell of a coach, and that's just what great coaches do. So, maybe not judge him the first season, especially playing Ohio State and Michigan State and whoever else. Penn State didn't look real good. They dropped 1 to Temple. Who knows? First week jitters. Who knows what could happen? But as far as that goes, there's a couple teams that got some questions and maybe a little bit overhyped this year. Auburn over Louisville. Auburn hasn't missed a step, whether or not Marshall's there or not. Auburn looks good. I'm not going to go so far as to say that they look good enough to be beating Alabama. I know all you people out down there in the great state of Alabama are probably, you buddy, but, let's just face it. I mean, maybe not yet. Maybe not yet. But who knows? You get, the Iron Bowl is always it's always exciting to watch. There's always something crazy going on. But Auburn looked real good. The ACC didn't fare real well against the SEC this weekend. But Louisville tried to hang in there. A couple mistakes. But Auburn was just way too much for them. Auburn, they look really good. Texas A&M, Arizona State. Now, I picked Texas A&M to win this game. They were just too much. Arizona State, the size wasn't there. A&M was just manhandling. I mean, just getting beat up front, down the field, on both sides of the ball. It was just A&M, as being a school from Texas in the SEC A&M is going to be a powerhouse within the next 4 years. Players don't want to leave the state of Texas, but to go play at some of these SEC schools, now they don't have to. Now they've got the SEC school, and not to mention SEC school, they've got a SEC West team in Texas. Longhorns, TCU, I know Baylor's doing big things when it comes to recruiting. A&M's going to start snagging those recruits real big because kids want to play on TV. They want to stay in Texas. But they also want to play in the SEC. And now it's here. And Texas A&M showed that they can handle a projected possible Pac-12 champion with ease. With ease. And granted, there's a lot of teams in the SEC right now that are really, really good. And A&M's probably not going to go through unscathed. But that just shows the medium level of how good the SEC is compared to the Pac-12. Notre Dame playing Texas. Texas is going to have to get some things together because, once again, like I was talking about Michigan, Texas is another team that demands to win. And if they're not getting the job done, coach is going to be riding the bus out of town. And Texas did not look good. Notre Dame handled them on every possible way in that game. I mean, the defense wasn't there. The offense wasn't there. Notre Dame was just throwing and running and couldn't be stopped. There's some serious questions in Texas. And granted, the Big 12 is, I'm not going to go as far as to say they're the best conference in the country, but they are good. The TCU they didn't look real great. It's their season opener. You get the jitters out. TCU will be just fine. Baylor will be just fine. Oklahoma, don't sleep on them. They are pretty good. So Texas might not be making a bowl game this year. If they don't get their shit together, Texas might not be making a bowl game, and they better watch it. Coach better be watching because the seat's going to start getting warm here real soon. And the big game, Alabama, Wisconsin. I mean, let's face it, Nick Saban, he's the best coach. He's the best coach in college football right now. Urban Meyer behind him. You just can't. There's nothing you can do as far as playing an Alabama team like that. They're good, and no matter who goes to the NFL, they're gonna reload. They're gonna have a good team. Their recruiting is off the charts every single year. And what are you supposed to do? There's nothing you can do. Wisconsin played a hell of a game, and Wisconsin is a very good team, and they will be very good in the Big Ten. But Wisconsin lost a lot of players, and Wisconsin doesn't reload like Alabama. So that's where that was. All right, let's get into some conference talk right here real quick. Obviously, we know who the best conference is in the country. There's no question there, and I don't like the, I don't like the excuse. We play in the SEC. That's why we're not winning. And there's some people that say that, but the SEC is the best conference in the country. Hands down, you can't say that they're not. There were some big games. Texas A&M beating up on Arizona State. Alabama beating Wisconsin. Auburn beating Louisville. Not saying Louisville's a powerhouse, but come on. They're not a slouch team. They're not a high school. They're not one of these Division II, whatever schools that some teams are beating up on. And then we saw some other teams. We saw Ole Miss rack 70 points. If I was a coach, I'm not going to let my team go and get smashed on the SEC network for some money. I got too much pride for that. But nevertheless, they still did score 70 points. Florida looked. Granted, they played a high school. Florida looked good. They hung 60 points on them. You're going to have to watch out for them. Nick Chubb in Georgia was. He's a freak. You got Tennessee. Tennessee looked good. There's a lot of good teams in the SEC. Some of them that probably aren't going to do as well as they hoped, judging by South Carolina's opening game. They might be in trouble. They've got some tough conference games this year. Georgia's not going to be a slouch. Tennessee's up and coming. Florida looks like they're better than they were last year. They play LSU. Carolina might be in trouble. I know they've got Kentucky this weekend. Their quarterback situation, we'll see. Spurrier's a hell of a coach. I know my South Carolina people are getting ready to kill me right now, but what do you do? It is what it is. Coming up second is the Big Ten. I know that I said Ohio State is the best team in the country, and they are. But as far as teams in a whole in a conference, the Big Ten is not going to match up. Now, the Big Ten's got some good teams. Um, you know, I know people in the Pac-12 and the Big 12 are going, what? The Big Ten? Yeah, well, Michigan State's pretty good. Okay. Um, they always have teams. Wisconsin is still a good team. Just because they got beat by Alabama does not mean that they're not a good team. I mean, Alabama's just a good team. And of course, you've got Ohio State. I mean, I saw Ohio State play live in person, and they are very, very good. Virginia Tech might not be a national um, championship contender, but they are a decent defense, and their offense actually looked okay before Michael Brewer went down. But nevertheless, Ohio State is a very, 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 very good team. So the Big Ten's got to come in second. Third, I got to say the Pac-12. I know Arizona State got beat by A&M. They're still a good team. USC looked very good. It's another one that they might be sleeping in as far as the Pac-12 goes. UCLA rolled Virginia, and they look better than the UCLA team last year. Hundley barely got past Virginia last year. This UCLA team did not have that issue. They rolled like a bunch of champs right through UVA. I mean, I'm not saying I'm upset about that. But and then you got Oregon, of course. They got a big game this weekend, and we'll talk about that. But the Pac-12 is they're a good conference as well. They might not have, 3/4 of their teams being powerhouses like the SEC, but they do have a stacked squad. And I know a lot of people were saying that, how can you put them under the Big Ten? Well, I tell you what, next week if Michigan State wins, or if Oregon beats Michigan State, which I think they might, we'll discuss this a little bit further. But if Michigan State wins, but that's something else. The Big 12 is going to be after the Pac-12. They're good. They're not Pac-12 good. They're not Big 10 good, and they're not SEC good. Unless Texas comes out, and says, they're just going to win out all these games and whatever else, then so be it. But until then, Big 12 still number 4. And then, last but not least, the ACC's dead last. Virginia Tech now with Michael Brewer out, they're in trouble. Not saying Brett Motley's not good, but there's gonna be some questions there. Florida State, they look good. They look good this last week. Are they a national title team? No, I don't think so. They lost a lot of talent last year, and I don't believe they're there yet. Best team in the league is got to be Clemson. And the next couple years, Clemson has a possibility to be very, very good. They tend to drop a lot of games that they're not supposed to, but that's just the Clemson way. Sorry to South Carolina brothers. They had a big receiver go out who's either out for the season, or I know he's out for this weekend. But that's big for them. So that's your conference picks for week 2. Now, the Heisman watch. There's a lot of people looked real good in week 1. Nick Chubb. People in Georgia probably don't even remember Todd Gurley's name. This guy came out of, obviously he was a very high recruit. He was very good. And, he's he's doing big things. Georgia better enjoy him while they got him, because he ain't going to hang around for long. So, we got Nick Chubb. Next and not least is Cardale Jones from Ohio State. I saw the man play. He's real good. He's real good. I know Urban Meyer wouldn't talk about their starters until they got to Blacksburg. And, JT Barrett's not a slouch. But Jones, I thought maybe just, his games last year that he just had, a real, a good rookie season, I guess. He maybe had some luck when he came in. There's no luck there. That's pure talent, and the man is good. He's a beast as well. So he's going to be number 2 on the list. And then behind him on the list is the same guys behind him on the field. Ezekiel Elliott is probably the best tailback in college football right now. I'm not really sure if anybody's got a lot to debate with that. He's big, he's fast, he's got agility, he sees the field, he sees things happen, things opening up. He's very good. He's very good, and he definitely is going to be on Heisman watch. And you could probably put Braxton Miller in it as well, but I'm not going to. I'm going to put Jeremy Johnson from Auburn. People, it's tough for people out there in Alabama to get over Marshall. Johnson is doing just that, and he's doing just fine with it. He's looked real good. The ability to see the field, he runs that offense very, very, very well. And I think it's going to give some people in the SEC a real scare, especially up there in Tuscaloosa. But that's something we'll see later on down the road. So that's the Heisman watch for this week. All right, with week 1 in the books, let's look forward to some of the bigger games in week 2. Not a real big weekend. There's not a lot of upset alert, I don't think. But there are some good games to watch. Tennessee, Oklahoma should be interesting. Tennessee has been recruiting really well here lately in the past couple years, and now their talent is starting to come out. They're back in the top 25. Oklahoma, it's Oklahoma. They're just a good team. It doesn't matter who they've got where, they tend to be very good. So it's going to be a good game to watch. I'm going to take Oklahoma in it. I think that they've just got the experience over Tennessee. I think Tennessee's got some young guys on the field in some spots that might cost them. So I'm going to take Oklahoma. Not a big win, but Oklahoma. South Carolina, Kentucky. I know the people are saying, who gives a shit about that? But I'm going to take Kentucky. I know it's for South Carolina. They lost last year to them. Kentucky always seems to be that kryptonite for South Carolina. Kentucky's had a lot of recruits in the past couple years, and now they're starting to show face and show that they're a very, 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 very good team. The next one is going to be BYU Boise State. BYU looked good. I mean, granted, they won on a Hail Mary, but BYU, I think, is a team that people are overlooking, and I'm going to take BYU to beat Boise State. For some reason, people tend to overlook them, and they were good last year until the quarterback went down, and they look good this year. Nebraska's not a slouch team, okay? Granted, like I said, I know they won on a Hail Mary, but, they still won, and they hung in there with Nebraska. I'm going to take BYU to beat Boise State. Mississippi State, LSU, the Cowbells and the Bayou Bengals. Mississippi State is a good team. Let's not. I didn't say anything about them earlier. Let's not get that misconstrued at all. Mississippi State is a very, very good team. Their Tebow brother, Prescott, who plays just like Tebow, except maybe his arm's a little bit better, is very, very good. LSU, and if anybody watched my videos from last year, I talked about how they're not quite ready yet, and because we didn't get to see Fournette play, we're going to see him this weekend. LSU pulls this one up. They're starting to make steps. They were really young last year. Their quarterback is still a question for me, especially since he didn't get to play his first game. This is a big. I mean, this is an opening game for them. LSU is going to be very good in the probably next year, next 2 years. They figure out a quarterback situation. They are deep at tailback. They're young at tailback. Their defense is always good. They always seem to put people in the NFL from their defense, and they have receivers. LSU, I think, can beat Mississippi State. The Mad Hatter should have these boys ready to go, and I'm going to take LSU over Mississippi State. And then the big one everybody's talking about, Oregon, Michigan State. Oregon beat them last year. It's in East Lansing this year. Is Michigan State ready? We're going to find out. I'm going to take Oregon. I think just their speed, the way that they spread the field. I don't think Michigan State, they don't play anybody in the Big 12 or the Big 10 that is that runs an offense like that, and I think that's why they have trouble when they go to play teams like Oregon. Ohio State's starting to spread out a lot more. They're Urban Meyer's taking them away from that. Ohio State's always been a big, just a big inside, pound the football, throw it if we have to. And that's just Big Ten football. There's a bunch of corn-fed boys up there, and they're just big, and they pride themselves in being big. But I'm going to take Oregon over Michigan State. That's pretty much all I got for this week. I hope everybody enjoys their weekend, enjoys college football. I know I'm going to. Military Appreciation Day in Blacksburg. I'm going to try to get over that loss from Monday night. So everybody have a great weekend. Enjoy college football, and we'll see you back here next week.